There is a place on this planet we have never actually seen. Not a cave, not a trench, a place bigger than the United States and Mexico put together, sitting right there at the bottom of every map. And almost nobody has ever stood on the ground beneath it. It's walled off from the rest of the world by the roughest water on Earth, sealed under almost 2 miles of solid ice. We have never seen most of what's underneath, and this is Antarctica. Here's the part that should stop you. Under all that ice, it isn't frozen solid. There's water down there, entire hidden seas of it, sealed in the dark, cut off from everything for millions of years. And they are not empty. For all of human history, that ice has been a lid, holding whatever's down there shut. But the lid is coming off. The ice is melting, faster than anyone predicted, and every year it pulls back, it hands us something that was never meant to see daylight. Ice that should never have melted, things that should never have been alive. And we've looked inside almost none of it. So hold on to this for the next 10 minutes. We've found living things in nearly every hidden pocket of that world we've managed to reach, and we've reached almost none of them. The question isn't whether something's down there, it's how big it's been allowed to get, in the dark where nothing has ever come to check. Let's go under the ice. I'm Axel, this is Drowned Earth. Let's explore the mystery of what's hidden under the Antarctic. Let's start with the thing nobody believes at first. Under Antarctica, there are lakes. Real ones. Deep, dark bodies of water, sealed under miles of ice. It's the coldest place on the planet, buried under solid ice. Everything down there should be frozen into a brick. That's the obvious answer, and the obvious answer is wrong. There are almost 400 of these lakes that we know about. Hundreds of hidden bodies of water, holding real, sloshing water, trapped under the ice like a pond that froze on top and never ever thawed underneath. The biggest one is called Lake Vostok. It's the size of Lake Ontario. You could drop a small country into it and still lose sight of it. And it's been sitting under about 4 kilometers of ice for around 15 million years, if not longer. So how does a lake stay liquid in the coldest place on Earth? 2 forces are fighting over that water. From below, the planet's own heat leaks up out of the rock. From above, the weight of the ice, trillions of tons of it, presses down so hard it physically lowers the freezing point. The water gets pinned in between. Too much heat under it to freeze, too much ice over it to escape. So it just sits there in the dark, waiting. And that word, sealed, is the one that changes everything. Because a lake that's been sealed for 15 million years isn't just a lake. It's a world that's been evolving completely on its own. Here's how it all got started. Every one of those hidden lakes is its own island, not connected to our oceans, not connected to anything but itself. Each one is a separate sealed box of water that got shut off from the rest of life on Earth millions of years ago. But to understand why that should scare you, you have to see what being cut off actually does to living things. And the clearest proof is on the other side of the planet. In 1835, a young naturalist named Charles Darwin lands on the Galapagos Islands off the coast of Ecuador, and he starts paying attention to the little birds there. Finches, small, plain brown songbirds, the kind of forgettable thing you'd see at a backyard feeder. Except they're not the same bird island to island. On one island, the beak is thick and blunt, built for cracking seeds. One island over, it's long and thin, built for pulling insects out of bark. Same little bird, split into a dozen different versions, each one reshaped to fit its own tiny island. That is what isolation does. Cut a group of animals off from everything else, leave them alone long enough, and they drift into something that exists nowhere else on Earth. The Galapagos pulled that off in a few million years, in full sunlight with other islands sitting right there on the horizon. Now take that exact machine and bury it. No light ever. No neighbors, no way out. And run it not for a few million years, but 15, maybe 20, at the bottom of the world where no one can look. Darwin's finches are the cute, tame preview. Lake Vostok is the version nobody's allowed to see. Whatever's in that lake has been drifting away from the rest of life on Earth since before there were humans. It didn't evolve by our rules, it wrote its own. And it's sitting under 4 kilometers of ice in total darkness. No sunlight, no camera. No way for us to see a single inch of it without tearing through a mile of frozen rock first. So for a long time, the assumption was simple. Sealed off that long in the cold and the pitch black. Surely it's dead. Just water and rock. Wrong. We finally drilled in to check, and it was not what we expected to find. Not even close. Quick thing before we keep going. If you've been liking these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button below. It would mean the world to me. We're on the road to 1K subscribers. Please help me make that possible. Also, drop a comment with your thoughts on the video. I make sure to respond to every single one. So, when the Russians finally drilled into Vostok, they tested the water for life. It wasn't empty. Even after you throw out the samples scientists still argue got contaminated on the way down, something was living in a lake that was supposed to be dead. But microbes in the dark are the boring version of this story. The real one showed up somewhere else on the continent. In 2021, a team was drilling through a floating ice shelf, 900 meters of solid ice, close to a full kilometer, just to lower instruments into the water below. Routine. The drill broke through. They dropped a camera down the hole and it landed on a boulder. That boulder was covered in animals. Sponges. Things on long stalks nobody has fully identified to this day. Alive, in total darkness, under 900 meters of ice, hundreds of kilometers from the nearest open water where food is supposed to come from. Everything we knew said that rock should be bare. It was crawling. And here's what makes this unsettling. Down in that southern ocean, life doesn't just hang on, it grows. Something about the freezing, oxygen-rich water lets bodies swell to sizes they never reach anywhere else on Earth. It's real, it's documented. Scientists call it polar gigantism. Sea spiders the size of your face. Underwater bugs, actual cousins of the little pill bugs in your garden, grown as long as your forearm. Worms longer than you are tall. And I'm not the smartest guy ever, but when there's a lot of organic life on a rock, there's usually something that eats it. So put it together. 1. These sealed pockets of water are full of life, even the ones we were sure were dead. 2. Whatever lives in that cold, dark, cut-off water grows bigger than it has any right to. And then you ask the one question nobody can answer. We've sampled a tiny handful of these lakes, a handful out of hundreds. And even those, we reach through a hole barely wide enough to lower a camera on a wire. Hundreds of hidden seas, some the size of countries, and we've truly looked inside almost none of them. So what's in the rest of them? Honest answer? Nobody knows. Nobody has filmed a shark under the ice. Nobody has pinged a giant in Lake Vostok. But I'll tell you what I actually think. I think there is something down there, and not on a hunch. Look at the size of these bodies of water, then look at how little of them we've seen. A few meters out of seas that run for hundreds of miles. Something that big, sealed that long, with that much room to hide, the odds that it's all empty are almost nothing. Because everything you'd need to build something huge and unfamiliar is down there, maxed out. Total isolation for millions of years. Freezing, oxygen-rich water. The exact conditions we've already watched grow animals to monstrous sizes in the ocean we can see. More time than almost anywhere else life exists on Earth. And a whole continent of dark, hidden water to do it in with nobody watching. And if you think something that big couldn't possibly stay hidden from us, look at the giant squid. For thousands of years, it was written off as a sailor's myth, a monster big enough to drag a ship under. We had proof it was real. Carcasses washing up with arms longer than a bus, beaks cut out of the stomachs of sperm whales. But nobody had ever seen a living one. Not once. A 40-foot animal in open ocean we crossed every single day, and it stayed invisible until 2004. And that's the open ocean, full of light, full of ships, full of cameras. Now seal the water under 4 kilometers of ice, kill every last bit of light, and give it 15 million years alone. If the open ocean could hide a giant that long, what has the ice been hiding? So we don't get to say nothing. That's the one answer the evidence has ruled out. Something is down there. The only real question is how big it got and how far from anything we'd recognize. Because down there, nothing ever came to tell it to stop. And it gets worse. because we don't even know how many of these hidden seas there are. We only know about these lakes at all because we cheated. We can't see through miles of ice, so we fly planes across the whole continent firing radar straight down, timing the echo that bounces back off whatever's at the bottom. Water echoes differently than rock. Ping. We're mapping a hidden world by sound, like a bat sketching a room it will never see. And every time we run a better survey, the map gets more crowded. We started with a couple of known lakes, then dozens. Now it's approaching 400, and the number is still climbing every few years. Not because new lakes are forming, but because we keep finding ones that were there the whole time. Then the radar caught them moving. These lakes aren't all sealed off from each other after all. Some are connected by rivers, actual rivers of water running under the ice in the dark, quietly draining one hidden lake into another across distances the size of countries. There's a whole plumbing system of secret water down there we didn't know existed a generation ago, and we're still tracing where it goes. So think about where that leaves us. If the count went from 2 to dozens to 400 just as our instruments got sharper, what's the real number? How many more are hiding under the thickest ice where the planes haven't flown?
And here's the one that gets me. Every lake we found by accident of where we happened to look. The biggest, oldest, most sealed off sea on the whole continent could be sitting under the one patch of ice nobody has scanned yet. Bigger than Vostok, sealed even longer, holding who knows what. We haven't found it because we haven't looked there, not because it isn't there. So why don't we just go, drill every lake, drop a camera, settle it? That's where it gets dark. Antarctica is guarded, not by anyone, by the planet itself. There's a current that runs in a complete circle all the way around the continent, the only current on Earth that laps a whole continent with nothing in its way, spinning for about 30 million years. It's a moat with no far bank, walling Antarctica off from every other ocean, keeping the warm water out and the cold sealed in. That moat is a big reason the life down there got so alien in the first place. It's been marinating in isolation since before our earliest ancestors existed. And if the current doesn't stop you, the ice will. To reach the water under a shelf, you drill through up to 1 kilometer of solid ice. To reach a lake like Vostok, 4 kilometers. At the bottom, the pressure would crush a person instantly. It's pitch black, it's a hair above freezing, and the sky over your head is a solid ceiling. If something goes wrong down there, you don't swim up. There is no up. And when scientists do drill in, they're terrified of one thing: dropping a single living germ from the surface into a world that's been clean for 15 million years. So they go slow, painfully slow, decades to reach one single lake. So here's the real tally: hundreds of sealed seas under a continent bigger than the US and Mexico combined. And the grand total we've actually laid human eyes on is a few holes the width of a plate. We have seen almost none of it, and it will not stay sealed. Because the ice is melting, faster than anything we predicted. Every year it pulls back and opens the seal a little wider on a world that's been locked away, evolving alone in the dark since before humanity existed. We found thriving life in nearly every hidden pocket we've managed to reach. We've reached almost none of them, and somewhere under all that white, there is very likely a world we haven't found yet. Bigger than Vostok, sealed longer than any of them, holding something that has had 15 million years in total darkness with nothing to answer to become whatever it wanted. The ice kept it a secret this whole time, and the time is running out. Thanks for watching. There's a lot more down here. See you next time on Drowned Earth.